Hello and welcome to today's show. I'm Dr. Renee Hornbuckle and I'm the host of Proven. Proven identifies those individuals that typically in life are experienced, who are validated, who are successful, and who are in their own right masters and iconic in their field. People often ask, how do people get to where they are? What is it that they do every day in their life to make a difference? We're here on Proven. That's what we talk about. We have a candid conversation with individuals that have emerged to the top of their game, and they have paid the price, they've laid the foundation, and they have emerged highly successful. Well, today's show is going to be a little bit different, as I am going to share with you why it is that people say that I'm proven too. "13 years ago, my ex-husband and I were at the top of our game. We were highly successful, living the American dream. We had, by all appearances, it all together. We had the appearances of having the perfect marriage, the idealistic kids, and all the things that came along with it. And so when the scandal happened 13 years ago, it brought my world to a halt. And emotionally and mentally, I was at a very damaging, destructive place personally. My world had fallen apart and I just didn't know what to do. So I came to the resolve that I was going to either give in to the crisis, into the scandal. I was going to allow the thing that happened to me to make me, or I knew I had to make a decision that I would rise above what had occurred. And I'm here today because I made the choice to rise above my circumstances and my situation. In making the decision to rise above my circumstances, I had three very important whys. My whys were Matthew, Rachel, and Jordan. And when I looked at those babies and I determined that they did not deserve the sum total of maybe a choice that someone else had made, and then that they were having these effects of what happened to them, I said, you know what, they don't deserve this, and so they deserve to have a great quality of life. And so it was because of them that every single day first of all, I accepted my situation for what it was. My reality had shifted, it had changed, and it was what it was. It was shocking at first, but through acceptance, you can begin to own where you are. You can begin to take the steps that are required to create a new normal. Creating a new normal for me and my children was first and foremost. Not only did I have to be concerned about my children, because we had been blessed with having an incredible success in ministry and in business, I had to also look at business and ministry and pick the pieces up there. It was a very slow, gradual process, and it has taken me time. But once I determined that I was going to rise, I was committed to doing whatever was required on a day-to-day basis to rise to the top of my game again. Well, first and foremost, it was very challenging because a whole lot of people walked away. And so there I was, devastated and hurt and just overwhelmed. But there was a remnant of people that stood beside me, and I looked at them every single day, and they would just say, hey, we still need you. And because of that, you know, we believe that we can put everything back together again. You know, anytime you experience any kind of loss of any sorts in your life, you're faced with so many decisions about what you must do next. And when I realized that we had lost everything, and you know, a lot of times people idealistically don't understand that you've lost everything, but I was able to keep my properties in my home, not because I didn't lose them and because I didn't have to go into foreclosure. Actually, I had to file bankruptcy with my personal life and with my ministry life. But it was recognizing that if I use the principles that are available in the business world every day to build again, that I really could perhaps allow my life, even though it was going to take time, to be put back together again. You know, the thing of it is that You know, when you go through suffering and you go through loss, you emotionally and mentally also have to deal with where you are. It was so important that I reached out to counselors and I had people that could advise me and guide me on what I must do. And it was so much happening so quickly at one time. And I felt quite overwhelmed. There were times when I thought about how it was that there were people that we used to have access to that could help me. And I found that I really was in a place of anger and disappointment and really hurt. I felt betrayed in so many ways. But at the end of the day, it all goes back to trusting that God will bring me through. And so through all of that, my absolute unwavering faith and trust and belief in God was really the catalyst that really propelled me forward every single day to be able to get up and do what I needed to do many times just for that day. I couldn't worry about the next day because I had to worry about this day, providing, keeping a roof over our head, trying to keep a ministry intact. I lost most of my businesses. All of my speaking engagements were canceled, but I still was determined every single day to provide a quality of life for me and my kids and those that were depending on me. You know, when people depend on you, you feel as though you have an obligation to get back up. And so with God as my help, with God as my source, every single day I would pull out of the Bible a passage of scripture that I needed to apply to my life to work through, because I wanted people to see me living what it was that I was talking about and preaching about every single day. So I took on this position of being a life crisis coach. And the reason that I chose that as being an area that I wanted to focus on was that I realized in going through my own ordeal that people absolutely did not know how to handle crisis, nor were people prepared to help anyone through crisis. So it was because of the lack thereof of having these resources in my life that I decided, hey, people go through troubles every day, but people need to have somebody that really understands what they're going through, understands the process, and that can help them through. And so I took this on and I began to help people. Now, the thing about crisis is that so often people are so overwhelmed, they're in such shock that oftentimes it's difficult and it takes a whole lot to get to the layers to where they own their own truth. But that is one of the biggest things that's required when you're going through any kind of pain or suffering or loss, or when life just seems to just take you out and things don't end up the way that you think that they should. You have to have somebody that can hold you accountable to help you to understand that, you know what, you're in a place, it won't last always, and you can get through this. You don't have to compromise. You don't have to self-destruct. You don't have to throw in the towel. You don't have to quit on life. You just have to make the adjustments so that you can get back to a different way of life. It doesn't mean that you won't get to the end result of what it is that God has for you. It just may be routed differently. It's kind of like our GPS system. When we get lost or we don't listen to it, it redirects us. And life oftentimes has to be redirected. And so as a crisis coach, that's what I do. I met a young man at a networking event one time and he read my card. And he said, why would anybody want to be a crisis coach? And I said, because nobody wants to be a crisis coach, because people like dealing with the good things. But there has to be somebody that's there, our brother and our sister's keeper, that are willing to get down in the mud with us and help us to pull ourselves up and out to propel us into the great new future that awaits us. You know, as I was going through my ordeal, one of the reasons that I am so highly driven and I really want people to really learn from those that are proven is because I was that individual. I was at the top of my game. I owned multiple businesses. I was highly influential in the community in which I lived. I had a lot of influence in a lot of powerful places with a lot of incredible people. And when I went through my ordeal, I seem to have lost all of that. But basically on the inside, I'm the same person. And so while I may have lost what appears to be my wealth and my influence, you know, the thing is that I've still been able to just make life good for me and my kids and for those that I'm called to minister to. Again, You know, I've learned how to manage a multi-million-dollar ministry off of hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yes, I may have lost my businesses, but it hasn't stopped me from trying new ventures and stepping into entrepreneurship again. I had transitional homes that at the time the ordeal occurred were full, and people told me to get rid of those, and I still have those because we're still reaching out to people, still blessing people. You know, sometimes people just don't quite know what to do. And it is because I chose to stand in faith. I chose to still believe that if I had God and He did it before, that He could do it again. That's the reason that I'm still here. But I'm also a practical person when it comes to us following the principles of the land. So the principles and the laws of the land have helped me to maintain what it is that God has given. I'm telling you, I'm moving into a new season in my life. I'm moving into a place where I'm beginning to consult and beginning to work with people and to establish some new ventures and new foundations to really help people to understand you might fall down, but you can get up again. I want people to know that even though you may have lost everything, let it go. If you let it go, God will bring even more back to you. I want people to understand, though you might fall in the ashes, that you can rise from the ashes. So I guess that's what makes me proven. And everything that I've learned, I want to share with you to make you proven too.